The strongest cat to ever exist wasn't the saber-toothed tiger. When it comes to prehistoric cats, none get more attention and limelight than those that belonged to the group of the saber-toothed variety. Within this group, Smilodon, traditionally known as the saber-toothed tiger, was the biggest and meanest, and fans of this ancient beast rightly place it among the most powerful predators ever. However, did you know that there was another prehistoric cat whose own proportions, size, and power made it an apex predator, even in Smilodon's domain? A cat whose evolutionary adaptations, behavior, and overall way of life are reflected by an iconic big cat from our own modern times? Of course, we are talking about the incredible American lion, a close cousin of the African and Asian lions we have today. In the following video, we'll discuss a few interesting things about this huge cat, including how it stacked up against Smilodon. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started with the video. The American lion. The American lion, also known as Panthera atrox, was a big cat species that dwelled in North America between 130,000 and 13,000 years ago, though some fossil dating suggests they could have been around 200,000 years ago. This means that the cat lived during the later Pleistocene, which was part of the Great Ice Age. As far as classification, the American lion is considered to have been a standalone species within the Panthera genus, the home of modern lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars. Like all cats, it is under the great big cat family known as Felidae. Some have argued that the American lion was a subspecies of the African and Asian varieties and must therefore be called Panthera leo atrox. However, the American lion is much more likely to have been descended from Eurasian cave lions that crossed the Bering Land Bridge into North America. The name atrox is Latin for fearsome or cruel, an obvious nod to this beast's great capacity for violence. As a panthera, the American lion had a large body, complete with a large skull, big teeth and claws, as well as the ability to roar. Panthera cats have a unique hyoid bone on their vocal cords, allowing them to roar. As far as prehistoric predators go, the American lion is a pretty common paleontological find. Fossils of all kinds have been unearthed from Mexico to Canada, giving us a better picture of what this animal was like and how it lived. One particular gold mine of American lion remains is California's La Brea tar pits, which have revealed more than 80 different lions. So what can we tell from these old bones? Well, for starters, we have a good idea of when it lived, which we've already spoken about. Given its timeline, we can also infer that the American lion diverged from the cave lion lineage sometime between 200,000 and 165,000 years ago. Secondly, we know it was huge. Based on the fossils, this cat was at least 25% bigger than modern-day African lions, which are the second largest cat species behind tigers. Fossil-based estimates give the American lion a body length range of 5 feet 3 inches to 8 feet 2 inches, excluding the tail. Shoulder height would have been almost 4 feet, which is pretty large. The animal's body mass is a much more divisive topic among scientists. For males, estimates range between 518 and 1,153 pounds, while females are believed to have been anywhere between 385 and 805 pounds. These numbers make it one of the biggest cats ever, if not the biggest ever. Like with most cats, especially lions, the species had very high sexual dimorphism. Males were significantly larger and stronger than females of similar ages. However, even the girls were still more than large enough to be apex predators. Looking at the upper size estimates, the American lion was bigger than any of its rival predators, bar the giant short-faced bears. In fact, the American lion's bones were significantly stronger than those of African lions and were almost as tough as a grizzly bear's. With such size and power, these apex predators ruled with clawed fists, hunting anything or anyone they chose. Given cats' generally impressive pound-for-pound strength and athleticism, it's not hard to imagine that the American lion specialized in hunting big prey. Modern lions and tigers are experts at killing giants like buffalo, giraffes, and even young elephants. much like how the American lion was seasoned at bringing down wild horses, bison, deer, and juvenile mammoths. The American lion would have been even more dangerous if it lived in groups like modern lions, a strong possibility given its domain. You see, like its African cousins, the American lion preferred open grasslands, scrubland, and sparse woodlands rather than the dense forests favored by most solitary wildcats. And when it comes to being a successful hunter in the plains, numbers help. Furthermore, the American lion's size would have made its speed and endurance worse than its African cousins, making social hunting an even more pressing need. Lastly, the proximity of fossils at sites like La Brea gives further evidence that these cats were, at the very least, tolerant of each other. So what did this sociability look like? Well, it would have been quite similar to modern lions, though relatively rare mass fossil sites suggest the animals' groupings were smaller on average. These groupings, known as prides, were made up of numbers of females and their cubs. Each pride was headed by a dominant male or even a coalition of males. A pride had a set territorial range, with the males routinely patrolling and enforcing the boundaries. Rival males were enemy number one, and adult males without prides were forced to live on the fringes of proper American lion society, scrapping to survive. These nomadic males would travel far and wide, seeking dominant males to challenge and, hopefully, defeat to earn kingship of a pride and the reproductive rights that came with it. Once a male took over a pride, he would immediately kill the last king's young offspring, a brutal move meant to eradicate weak bloodlines and expedite estrus in the pride females. It's clear to see that, like the African lion, this great American panther was constantly at war, whether with other lions, other predators, dangerous prey, or even the weather. Needless to say, the Ice Age could get pretty chilly at times. To cope, American lions likely had shaggier fur than the African species and would have made use of caves when conditions got too extreme. Unfortunately, there are no preserved furs and skins for us to examine, so we cannot be certain how the American lion actually looked. However, given its preferred habitat and cave lion ancestry, we can be quite confident that its coat was largely a tawny light brown. There's no way to tell if it had spots, stripes, or any other significant markings. We also don't know if it had a tufted tail or whether the males had manes. Many depictions of Eurasian cave lions don't show them to have had manes, so many scientists take that to mean American lions didn't have them either. Despite being apex predators, American lions faced a competitive landscape. Bears, dire wolves, regular wolves, coyotes, and a series of other large cats also shared home ranges with the massive panther. Few of these rivals could hope to beat adult American lions in a fight, but most of them were more than capable of killing cubs to nip the competition in the bud. Ultimately, these natural competitors and the arrival of humans contributed greatly to the demise of the American lion, which was ill-equipped to adapt to life as a non-apex predator. Some experts also claim climate change did a real number on its habitat too, as it and several other large animals disappeared from the world forever. Saber-toothed rivals. One notable group of cats that were around in the American lion's day were the saber-toothed cats, notably of the Smilodon genus. Unlike American lions, which hail from the Panthera genus of the Pantheridae subfamily, Smilodon species belong to the Machaerodontini subfamily, so they are quite distantly related to the American lion and other panthers, which is why names like saber-toothed tiger are considered misnomers. Various species existed in prehistory, but the American lion most likely crossed paths with Smilodon fatalis more often than with any other. Smilodon fatalis was roughly the size of a modern lion, if not a little thicker in the muscles. This means it was smaller than the American lion, and quite significantly too. It lived between 1.6 million and 10,000 years ago, so it both predated and outlived the American lion. Unlike the lions, the North American saber-toothed cat preferred closed forest and heavily wooded areas to aid its stealthy hunting strategy. A formidable ambush killer, the saber-tooth preyed on a wide range of prey, including tapir, deer, wild goats, and so on. One thing we can't be sure of is how sociable this cat was, since it has no close modern cousin to provide a framework. There is sound evidence for both isolation and high sociability. However it lived, Smilodon fatalis was a highly successful predator, maybe even more than the American lion. But one thing it could not match the lion was sheer size and strength. If we want a fairer comparison, we have to look at Smilodon fatalis's bigger, badder cousin, Smilodon populator. Now, though populator lived at the same time as the American lion, the two species seldom cross paths, if ever. That's because Smilodon populator lived in South America, while the American lion's range typically ended in Mexico. With a run that stretched from 1 million years ago to 10,000 years ago, populator was just as successful as its northern cousin, fatalis. In fact, it was more versatile, having adapted to live and hunt in open grasslands, as well as closed forests. It preyed on anything from horses, sloths, bears, deer, and tapir, to monkeys, turtles, and even crocodilians like caiman. This South American saber-toothed cat was also significantly bigger than its northern kin. Body mass estimates range from 490 to 880 pounds. Fossils of some exceptionally large specimens form the basis of estimates up to 1,040 pounds, with shoulder heights approaching 4 feet. On top of its tremendous bulk, this big cat sported a pair of 11-inch canines that were used to deliver mortal wounds to prey and rivals alike. With such numbers, Smilodon populator was clearly one of the largest cats to ever walk the earth. Yet, though comparable, even this mighty cat could not match the awesome size and power of the American lion, the mightiest cat of all time.